Today we're going to be looking at how to create this report that you can see on your screen using Power BI and PowerPoint. This is an inventory dashboard, a useful tool for retail and e-commerce businesses to monitor their inventory and prevent stockout. As you can see on the screen, we have the total revenue, inventory value, stock available, and days of inventory on hand. We also have the inventory turnover. On this right hand side, we have the stock overview by month. We are comparing the stock available versus the total units sold. We also have the inventory value by categories, by region. Down here, we have the inventory details, the stock details itself. And you can see this, you can expand this to see more and also see the stock status for those that are low stock and the ones that are in stock. You can also filter this page when you open the filter menu. You can filter by store ID category, for instance. When I filter by furniture, everything on the page changes to show for furniture. You can reset the filter and close this filter pane. Hi, my name is Chiamaka and welcome to my channel where I teach Power BI and its application across different industries. If you're new to this channel, click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification to get notified when I post new videos. If you want to follow along, the dataset I'm going to be using as well as the Power BI file will be in the description below. Let's get started. So we're going to start by creating a wireframe on PowerPoint. So I'll click on new slide, a blank slide. Then I'll click on insert shape. I'll insert a rectangle, cover the whole slide with that. Change the fill color to white. I don't want it to have any outline, no outline. Then I'll insert a rounded rectangle on top of it. Adjust the corners. Then I'll change the shape fill to this color as well as no outline. Then I will add another rounded rectangle, insert shape. So this is going to serve as my header pane, and change the shape fill to white and no outline. Then I'll insert another rounded rectangle here. So this is going to serve as my placeholder for my gauge chart. Adjust this. I want the width to be 3.39 and the height to be 1.31. Adjust it so that it will align with the header edge over there. Change the shape fill to this color and I don't want it to have any outline as well. Then I'll add another shape, rounded rectangle under here. I want to adjust the edge. Then I want the height to be 1.88 and the width to be 3.39 is fine. Then I want the field to be white and no outline. Adjust this here. Then I'm going to duplicate this and duplicate it again. So I'm going to make this one to cover the remaining part of our page that we have here. Then I will duplicate this and this will serve as the placeholder for our table. Then afterwards I will select all, Ctrl A, Ctrl G, then right click and save as picture. You can save it to whichever location that you want on your machine. I've saved this so I don't want to save it again. Then here on Power BI, I'm going to import the background that we just created. So I'll click on the canvas pane, open up the format, then canvas background, browse for images. So I have it as this particular one, open. Then you cannot see it now because the transparency is set as 100. So I'm going to remove the transparency as well as set image to fit. So we have the background. Now we are going to look through the data set that we're going to be using. This is a CSV file and this is what it looks like. Over here we have the date. Our data has data from 2022 to 2024. We have the store ID, the product ID and category. You can see the different categories that we have. Then we have different regions, north, east, west. We have the inventory level, units sold, units ordered, then the demand forecast. We also have the price as well as discounts, the weather, holiday, and seasonality. So we're going to import these data sets into Power BI. So because it's a CSV file, I'm going to click on Get Data CXV. I'll search for it, then open, then click on Transform. So here is our data set, and I like to turn on this data quality to ensure that to check the quality of my individual columns. And I'm going to ensure that this profiling is based on the entire data set and not just the top 1000. So I'll select entire data set. If you don't have those profile turned on, you can turn it on by clicking on view, then turn on the column quality. So I'll go through. You can see here we don't have any empty or error on our individual columns. And over here you can see that Power BI has already changed type for us and promoted header. So I'm also going to ensure that each column has the correct data type. So seasonality is text, competitor pricing is decimal, which is fine. Then this is numeric, discount is numeric, price is numeric. Okay, units ordered is numeric and sold is numeric as well. Inventory level is numeric. Okay, then region and date. Okay, this is fine. So I'm going to remove some columns I'm not going to be using for this particular demo. So these columns are seasonality, competitor pricing. Hold down the shift key, the control key to select weather condition, then demand forecast. So I'm just going to right click and remove columns. So we have the columns that we need for this analysis. I'm also going to rename this to inventory because the name is quite long. Then click on home, close and apply. So our data has been imported. You can see it here. Let's go over to the table view to view that. You can see the data set that we have. You can change the format of this. Let's change this from this long date to just have the day, month and year format. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create a date table that we are going to be using for this analysis. So I'll click on table tools, new table. So we are going to call this date, which is equal to, we'll use the calendar function. And our start date is going to be the minimum inventory date. So the minimum date that we have on our inventory table, that's going to be our start date. So min inventory date, then not category, date. Then our end date is going to be the maximum date on the inventory table. So we have this. We are going to change this from date time to date. Then change this to day, month and year. So we are going to create another column, which is our year column. We want to extract year from this. So I'm going to click on new column. Year, which is equal to, we are going to be using the year function. And the date in this case is going to be this date. So we're referencing this date. Next, we are going to create our month number. We want to extract the month number from this date. So new column, month number, which is equal to, we'll use the month function as well. And we're extracting, we are referencing the date column. Then we're going to create the month name, the first three letters of the month name. So new column, month name, which is equal to, we're going to be using the format function to change this in order to be able to get the first three letters. So we are referencing the date column and we want to get the first three letters of the month, which is this. Then we are going to be creating a new column for month and year together. So we're also going to be using the format function. So this is month year. So we're formatting this, the date, and the format we want first three letters of the month and all the year. So 4 Ys with a space in between. So we have this. Then now we are going to connect this date table to our inventory data. So click on manage relationship, new relationship, date and inventory. So date is connected to date in one-to-many relationship, save. So we have that here. You can also see that on the model view. You can see that the date is connected to the inventory table. So now we are going to create a new table for our measures, for the measures that we're going to be using for this report. So to do that, I'll click on enter data. So label this as key measures, then load. So we have our key measures table. So the first measure that we're going to be creating is going to be the total units sold. From our inventory table, you can see that we have the units sold table, the units sold column. So our total units sold is going to be the sum of this units sold column. So I'm going to right click on the key measures table that we've created, new measure, total units sold, which is equal to sum of the units sold column. Then we have that. The next one is going to be the stock available. The stock available is going to be the sum of the inventory level column. So right click, new measure, stocks available, which is equal to the sum of the inventory level. So the next measure we're going to be creating is the inventory value, which is going to be the inventory level times price in order to know the worth of the stock that we have available. But we're also going to consider this discount. So if there is a discount applied, because there are some that you can see discount 0, no discount applied. So if no discount is applied, just multiply inventory level and price. But if there is discount, that is if it is not equal to 0, if it is more than 0, then apply the discount. So we are going to be using this particular formula. Right click, new measure. So we are using the summers and we are applying the summers on the inventory table. If the inventory level This is the inventory level multiplied by an if statement. If the inventory discount is equal to 0, just multiply by the price. If it is not equal to 0, then apply the discount. Our next measure is going to be the total revenue. So how much have we generated so far from the units sold, which is basically going to be the units sold times the price. And also we are going to consider the discount as well. So I'm going to right click on this new measure, and we are going to be using this formula, which is similar to what we have for inventory value. So if the discount is equal to 0, just multiply the units sold and the price. But if it is not equal to 0, apply the discount. So the next measure is going to be the average inventory. But for this case, we are going to be calculating the average inventory based on the month level. And we're going to be using this average inventory to be able to calculate our turnover rate. So we'll be using this formula. So this is why we created the month and year column in our date table. So basically we're going to be using the average X, then check the month and year and sum our inventory level by that in order to be able to get the average. So the next measure is going to be the inventory turnover, which is going to measure how many times the inventory is sold relative to our average stock. So it's now going to be total units sold divided by the average inventory. So we're going to be having this formula: divide total units sold that we've calculated earlier by the average inventory that we just calculated. So the next measure we're going to be calculating is the sell-through rate, which is going to be this formula: stock available So we are dividing the total units sold by the sum of the total units sold and stock available. This formula and this sell-through rate is very important in order to enable us to find out the product that is fast moving, that is the most popular one versus the slow moving products. So the next measure is going to be the days of inventory on hand. We are going to be using this formula. We have the first part, a variable, which here we are referencing our average inventory that we calculated. Then we are creating another one, average daily sales, which is basically going to check the daily sales, the total units sold daily, then divide the average inventory by the average daily sales. This particular formula is important in order to estimate how many days our current stock will last based on the average daily sales velocity. This is very important for procurement planning. Then I'm going to delete this column 1 that we have here. We don't need this. Delete. And we can start creating our visualizations. So I'll start by adding a title to this. I'll add a text box, adjust it here to fit my title pin. Then type in my title, which in this case is inventory dashboard. Then increase the size to 24 and make it bold. Then I want to turn off the background. So that I can adapt to what I already have. Okay, increase this a little. So I have my title. Then next I'm going to be adding a card visual here for my KPIs. So I'll select the new card. place that here. I want it to cover this particular part. Then I'm going to select my KPIs. I have the total revenue, the inventory value, the stock available, and days of inventory on hand. So for days of inventory on hand, I will just label that as DOH. Then I'm going to start formatting this. Right now we can only see 3 because by default it only shows 3. So I'll click on the format pane, layout, increase the maximum number of cards to 4. Now we can see days of inventory on hand. The space between cards, I want that to be 18. Then I'll scroll down to where I have my callouts. I want my card to be, the callout value to be 25. But right now you can see that the total revenue, it's not in currency format. So I want that to be in currency format. I'll change that to display USD. And I also want it, I don't want it to show decimal places. So I'm going to change this to 0. The same thing is applicable to my inventory value. I will change that to USD as well. And the number of decimal places, I want that to be 0 as well. Then also my DOH, I want to round that up to 0 decimal places as well. So it's showing 59, which is fine. Then I'm going to click on this and turn off my background. And scroll down to where I have card. I want the shape of this to be rounded rectangle and the number of the pixel of the corner to be 10. I don't want the border to show. So I have this, which looks nice, and now I'm going to quickly adjust this to align with what we currently have. The next is to add my image icons. So I'm going to click on this, scroll down to where I have images. I have images here. Close the call out so that I can see my images. So for the first one, I want total revenue to have an image. I'll turn this on, browse through my icons, then desktop. So I got my icons from icons8.com. The link to that is going to be in the description below. So I'll select this. I want the position of the icon to be left of text, and I want the size to be 40. I also want the space between the icon and the image to be 20. So I have that. Then next is going to be for the inventory value. I'll select that for the inventory value. Turn on the image icon, browse through, select this for that. Same thing, I want the position to be left of text. I also want the space between that to be 20 pixels. Size to be 40. Next is the stock available. I'll select that. I want the image icon to be this particular icon. Then also left of text, space between that and the image 20, and the size to be 40 pixels. Then for the days of inventory on hand, turn that on as well. The icon, the clock icon, left of text, space between that to be 20 and the size of the image to be 40. So we have our key KPI showing. Next, we are going to be creating our gauge chart for the inventory turnover. So I'll select this gauge icon here in the chart, adjust it, place my inventory turnover ratio there, drag it up to this point and fill up this placeholder that we have created for it here. Then start formatting. The size and style, I want to turn off the background so that it will gel with the background that we currently have. The title that we have, I'll reduce the title to 12. Then center align it, change the color of the title to white so that it will be visible. Then scroll down to the colors, the fill color. I want to use this particular color for that. Then also the data labels, turn that off. We only want to see the call out label. Change the color of the call out label to white, and we have that. So next is going to be the stock overview by month. We are going to be comparing the total units stored and stock available. So I'm going to be using the clustered column chart, this one, adjust it to fit this particular placeholder that we created for this. Then select my stock available, that's the first one, then the total units sold. Then we want to see that by month name. So we have the month name on the x-axis. We are going to start cleaning this up. First of all, you can see that our date, that's the month, is not arranged in chronological manner. I'm going to change that. So I'll click on the month name, sort column by month number. So I'm going to deselect my month name and select that back. So now we have it properly arranged. So I'm going to start cleaning up this chart. First is on the size and style. I'll turn off the background. Then I have my title. I'll reduce the title to 12. Then where I have my legend, I don't want the legend to have a title, so turn that off. Then for the X and Y axis, I will turn them off as well. I don't need that. Then I'm going to have the legend in the middle. So where you can search for whatever thing that you are looking for if you know the feature. So this is the legend. I want it to be at the top center, which is fine. Then my title, I want this to read stock overview. By month. Then I'm going to start editing the color so that it will fit the color theme that we are using. So where you have the columns, I'll select the layout. I want to increase the space between category to 40. Then I'm going to change the color of the individual category. Stock available, I want this to be a dark purple, while the units sold, I want it to be the light shade of purple that we have. Then also I want it to have the curved edges. So in order to achieve that, I'm going to be using the error bars. So I'm going to go down to error bars, turn that on for stock available. So the upper bound is going to be my stock available measure. I'll drag that in here, turn this on to enable that. Scroll down to where I have my markers. I want it to be this round shape marker. Then the size, I want the size to be 6. Then where I have the bar, I want to change the color of the bar to be rather the dark shade of purple, and the border also dark shade of purple, so that it has that round shape. So I'm going to do the same thing for the total units sold. So select units sold, enable the error bar, then drag the total unit sold to the upper bound, then change the back color to the lighter gray to match that, border color lighter gray, the marker itself change that to round, then the size, increase the size to 6 as well. So we have this. You can hover on any one, but you find out that when I hover, I can still see the upper there. So I want to turn off that particular tooltip for error. So I'll scroll down to where I have error. So there is a tooltip option there. I will turn that off, both for the total units sold as well as the stock available. Turn off the tooltip. So when I hover, I cannot see that again. I'm only seeing the total units sold and available for this. So I'm going to add comma separation to this tool so that someone can easily read them. Comma separation, then stock available, comma separation. So you can see now when someone hovers on any of them, the person can easily read that. So we have our stock overview by month. So the next is going to be inventory value by category. So I'll add a bar chart here, adjust it so as to give us this part. Then I will select the inventory value. So let's open up our build to see where it is being placed. Then in this case by category. So we have this. I'm going to format this to look better. I'll click on format pane, size and style, turn off the background. Then where we have our title, reduce the size of the title to 12. Then for the y-axis, I want to turn off the title of the y-axis. For the x-axis, I will turn off the title and value because I'm going to turn on the data label. So for the back color itself, I'm going to change that to the lighter shade of this. Then also we're going to make it to have rounded edge as well. So where we have the layout, I'm going to increase the space between category to 40. Then scroll down to where I have error bars, turn that on, add my inventory value there to the upper bound. Then scroll down to where I have bars. I want to change this color to match the color that we've been using, border the same color. Then marker, I want to change this to round, then increase the size of that to 7. So now I want to turn on my data label. So for data label, I will scroll up to where I have data label, turn that on. Now it's showing me in billions. So I'm going to edit this because I want it to show me in millions. So go down to where I have value, display unit, millions. Aside that, I can either leave it this place or take it inside the data label, so you can play with that whichever way that you want yours to come out, but this is fine. Then next I want to click on this in order to create the next chart that we have. Copy and paste. I want this to show total units sold by region. So instead of category, I will select region, and instead of inventory, I want to select total units sold. So for this, I will need to edit the error bars. Scroll down to error bars, enable that, drag in total units sold to the upper bound as well. Then scroll down to where I have the back color, change that to fit this border color as well. Then the marker, I want this to be round, increase the size to 7 and make it 8 for this case. This is more, so I'm going to increase this to 9. Then I want the data label to be in thousand so as to give me a better representation. So I'll go over to my data label. Now it's in million, so I want it to be in thousand. But right now you can see some are inside and some are outside, so you can change the position of the data label in order to give you the best part. So apply to all series, value, title, detail. Next, we want to create our table visual of inventory details. So I'm going to click on table, place that on this particular placeholder that we have for it, extend that to cover the whole area. So for this, we are going to be having some of the details of the inventory. So I'll open up the build pane to see what I am putting in. So the first thing I'm going to be adding there is my store ID, select store ID. Next is the product ID, then category. I have my units sold, then total revenue, then inventory level, then inventory turnover, then I have sell through rate, then days of inventory on hand. So we have this, and let's quickly change this. For total units sold, I don't want the totals to show below, so I'm going to change summarization to don't summarize. Then same thing is applicable for sum of inventory level. Change the summarization, this one, don't summarize. Then for the rest, I will just turn off the total on the format pane side of things. Total, turn that off. So let me continue editing this table to look better. So I have the size and style, turn off the background so that the white background that we already have will fit that. Then style preset, I'm going to change this to minimal. Right, then where I have grid, I want the color of the horizontal, this is fine. Then the border color, I want to change that from blue to this to fit what we currently have. Then option, I want my row padding to be 7 to increase the size of that. I want to have a status here such that if the product is in stock, it will label that this is in stock. If it is not out of stock, it will label that. If it is low stock, I will have that particular icon here. So to do that, I'll be creating a new measure, which is going to be a measure of that will contain our image, our SVG image. So right click, new measure. So we're going to be using this formula. What this formula is doing is quite explanatory, although it's a long one. You have this first part, the inventory level. We are going to get the maximum of the inventory level, and this coalesce function, what it's basically doing is where there is zero, where there is blank, just add 0 to that. Then we hear the DOH part, we are referencing the days of our inventory on hand. Then over here we have the color, the different hash codes that we're going to be using. For green color we have in stock, red color out of stock, and the likes of it. Down here we have a logic, our switch statement. So if the inventory level is equal to 0, give me out of stock. If it is greater than 0 but days of inventory is equal to 0, give me in stock. Even though this actually means that even though there is no sales, it's still in stock. Then inventory level, if it is greater than 0 but the day of inventory on hand is less than 7, label it as low stock. Then if the inventory level is greater than 0 and the days of inventory on hand is greater than or equal to 7, is in stock. Then down here we have the fill color, still the same logic kind of thing, to assign different colors based on the condition that has been satisfied. Down here we have the shape, the SVG shape that we're going to be using. So this is going to set for that. You can see the status text in here, reference the fill color and the text. So you can go through this. I'm going to attach this to the resources for this particular video so that you can just go through it. So I'll click on, we have this here. So I'm going to include this to my table. Click on build, then drag the stock available, stock status to this particular part. So we currently have this. The reason we have this is because we've not categorized this as an image. So I'm going to click on it, click on data category, change this to image URL. So you can see the image itself. So I'm going to format this, scroll down to where I have image size. The height, I want the height to be 40 and I want the width to be 90. So we have this. Next thing I'm just going to do basically is to arrange this particular table so that it will be evenly distributed. So I'm going to click on individual specific column for the unit sold in particular. I want this to be center aligned. Then also the days of inventory on hand. So the table looks better. Adjust this particular one, drag the units sold back a little, then drag this. So you can expand and see the different details, and you can see the ones that are low stock and the ones that are in stock based on the condition that we've added. So you can see here that even though we have the DOH as 0, it is still in stock because the inventory level, we still have inventory. So despite the fact that it has not been sold, it's still labeled that it is still in stock. All right. The next thing I'm going to do here is to add a filter pin on this particular header part so that someone can easily filter this particular report by different categories and different dimensions. So I'll start by inserting a shape, rounded rectangle, adjust it. So it's going to cover my filter, my header pane. I want the fill color to be shape style. I want the fill color to be white, and I don't want it to have, the border too is going to be white because I don't want it to have any border showing. So I'm going to add slicers to this for my filter on top of this pin. So I'll click on the first one. This first slicer is going to be my year slicer. So go over to my data, select year from my year table, from my date table, then scroll to where I have slicer setting. I want it to be a drop down. The title, the slicer header, I want to reduce that. I want to reduce that to 9. Then my next slicer that I want to have there, I want to have my month slicer, copy paste. So this is going to have my month name. So remove year, month name. Over here, I want my region, still on that part. So I want the region there, remove month name and select region. Then I'll copy paste again. Then on this side, I want to have, let me just drag it down a little. I want to have my store ID, copy paste again. I want to have my category, so remove store ID and category, add that there, then copy paste again. I want to now have my product ID, so remove category, put product ID. So I'm going to adjust this part and distribute horizontally So select these three, format, align, distribute horizontally. Same here for these three. Distribute horizontally, align top and bottom. I'll do the same for this one as well, so that they will all be aligned top and bottom. So this is going to be my filter pane, but I want in such a way that I can see white spaces behind. So I'm going to just select all of them and turn off their background. I don't want them to have extra background there. So I want this to be in such a way that when someone opens this up, this filter pane will show, but the person will have a button here in order to be able to close this filter pane and see the title of my dashboard. So I'm going to add an icon here. So in order to do that, I'll click on insert image. So I'm going to add this icon, as well as, let me adjust this. This is going to close the filter pane when someone clicks on it. Then also I will add another image. This is going to refresh the filter pane when someone clicks on it. I mean, this is going to refresh the filter, like reset the filter when someone clicks on it. So I have these two icons. Next thing I'm going to do now is to open up my selection pane to arrange things. So this is the selection pane. It is currently here, but if you don't have it here, you can click on view. You have selection pane enabled, that, but mine is showing here as well because it's enabled. So I'll click on this, then click on my slicers so I can group them, and Ctrl G to group them. So I will label this as my slicers. Then I'm going to also group all of them together with the shape that I have. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, these two icons, then the filter pane and my slicers that I've grouped already, then group them. So this is going to be labeled as my filter pane. So when I expand my filter pane, I have my slicers as well as the icon. This particular one is the reset icon. Let me label this reset icon. Then this one is the close filter pane icon. And this is our shape that we have, right? So this is going to come in handy in what I'm trying to enable. So right now, this is my filter pane. If I hide this by clicking on this hide this visual icon, so you can see that it's no longer visible, right? But if I enable it by unhiding this, it is visible. So this is the effect I want. So I want to hide it now and add a button that is going to enable that action. So I'm going to click on insert image. I want to use this filter icon. Adjust this, place that here. So this icon, I'm going to label it open filter pane. Open filter pane icon. So I'm going to add an action to this such that when someone clicks on it, it will open up the filter pane. So to do that, this particular text box here is our title. Let's just label this as well, title. So I'm going to turn off my title, turn off the filter pane icon, that is hide it, Then unhide the filter pane, save this as a bookmark. So I'm going to click on view bookmark. If you don't have that, this is it, but I have it here already. So I'll click on add bookmark. This is open filter pane. So I have that bookmark. So I'm going to go back to this and now disable the filter pane, enable the filter icon as well as my title, then add an action to the filter icon. So format, click on the filter icon, action. So type of action bookmark, which bookmark, open filter pane. That is what I want it to do. Then I also want to add a tooltip so that if someone hovers on it, the person can be able to be guided on what that particular icon does. So open filter pane. So you can see now if I hover, it's telling me to open filter pane. So since I'm on desktop, I'll hold down my control key and click on it. You can see that it has opened up filter pane. So the next thing I'm now going to do is to enable this icon to close the filter pane. So to do that, I'm going to create another bookmark, which is going to do the opposite of what we did initially. So I'm going to open up the selection pane, then remove the filter pane, enable the title as well as my icon. Then I'm going to save this particular page now as a bookmark. So I'll click on bookmark, add, close filter pane. So now I'm going to select that particular button, which is this. I'll just open up the filter pane part, select this particular button and add an action to it such that it can be able to close the filter pane when someone clicks on it. So close filter pane icon. So I'm going to also add that tooltip to it, close filter pane. So when I click and hold down the control key, you can see that it has closed it. So when you hold down the control key and click on this, it opens up, and when you click on this as well, it has closed it. So let's open up the filter pane and continue. So I also want to use this particular one to reset my filter, in the sense that when someone selects store ID, for instance, category, for instance, and all of that within here, they can just click on this particular reset button and everything resets instead of selecting all of them individually to clear them. So in order to do this and to enable that, I'm going to ensure that they are all on default view. This is default, right? So also I'm going to save this particular page as a bookmark. So right now I'll click on selection pane, rather the bookmark part, add bookmark. So this is going to be reset filter. Then I'll click on this particular button and add the action. It's going to be bookmark action. The bookmark itself, select reset, then text reset filter. So now if I select product ID, for instance, category, for instance, and region, for instance, then I click on, hold down the control key because I'm on desktop, and click on this, it has resetted the filter. You can see that we've come back to the default view. But now there is an issue. You can see that if I open on my filter and select store ID, for instance, and select store 002, for instance, and close this pane, You can see everything resets immediately, even though I did not click on reset filter. I want it to retain that filter that I applied on that particular pane on this. So in order to achieve this, I'm going to go back to my bookmark and click on these three dots. I will uncheck this apply filter drill source state on close filter pane. Also apply that on this particular one such that whichever filter that was selected can be retained so that the user can actually see what was selected. So now if I open this and select store 2002 for instance and close, you can see it retained it. Then if I open it, it's showing me that that store 002 was selected until I reset if I want to reset. So that is the way that it works. I can now close. So that is all for this particular report. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. I also like to know what you think about this report in the comment section below. Bye.